So today we're talking classroom management. This is to let you know that pictures will be taken and shared on social media. We want to make sure that we let people know that we are out here doing the best that we can, and we want to share this great information with you. So this is a heads up on that. And this is your way to stay connected. If you have not followed these two groups on X, formerly known as Twitter, we strongly suggest that you do, because frequently we'll post events, let you know what's coming up, and provide information. We will definitely be looking into other platforms, as we know this one is a bit controversial. But for now, this is great to write this down. You can hit us at PGCPS and at Opal, that's us, OPPOPLL PGCPS. Here are our professional learning norms, and you have been doing a fantastic job of keeping up with these. We want to make sure that we are respectful, show respect. This is a professional environment. We want to engage. We've seen lots of engagement. We want to keep that going. So make sure that you are dropping those information in the chat. We have other mentors who are online, and they're going to help to answer questions and make sure we get that information to you quickly. We're going to also ask that you stay in the moment. We know when you're home, there are so many little things and little ones that gather our attention. So we're asking that you please stay here in the moment with us. And last but certainly not least, stay focused. I am Sinitria Blocker. Good to meet you. Sinitria Blocker, mentor teacher out of the Office of Professional Learning and Leadership.
And I am Erica Jones, also a mentor teacher out of the Office of Professional Learning and Leadership. Today's session's outcome, before we get started, can you put in the chat what level you are? Early childhood, elementary, middle, or high school? If you've already done this with the first presentation, we're just going to do it again. So in the chat real quick, what level are you on? Oh, it's a good mix, large mix. Okay, we're just giving that as a disclaimer, kind of just to say that even though some strategies may seem elementary, they can also be used across the grade level. So don't be afraid to pick and choose something that from elementary and use it in high school, or something in high school and tweak it and use it in elementary. Our outcomes for today will be to explore the strategies teachers can employ to manage student behavior and identify how student engagement helps facilitate classroom management.
And Erica, before we change, I just checked the chat, and it does look like we have a pretty good mix. Lots of early childhood, elementary, and I see a few middle school creeping in there as well.
So for FFT, I'm sure you all have heard of Framework for Teaching, FFT. These are the FFT components that will be utilized for teacher evaluation for the upcoming school year in Prince George's County Public Schools. For this presentation, our focus will be on Domain 2, 2B, establishing a culture for learning, and 2C, managing classroom procedures. In the chat, Dawn is going to drop the link for the FFT handbook. If you want more information about the components that will be evaluated, you can look into that book, but you will also see FFT numerous times throughout your school year. So we're going to focus on reactive and proactive responses to behavior. Proactive would be to create or control the situation by causing something to happen rather than responding to it after it has happened. Whereas reactive is showing a response to a stimulus and acting in response rather than creating and controlling it. So on the next slide, you all are going to have an activity. That activity is going to be a link that Dawn is going to drop in the chat box. And that will be that we're going to show you a series of, I skipped up, sorry. So we're going to look at the A through K. So you're going to have a paper that has a chart on it if you can access the link. If you cannot, label your paper or piece of paper on your phone A through K. These are the same ones that they will see on if you can access the link. So you're just going to review it real quick. We're going to give you about 3 minutes. Look over the responses and label proactive versus reactive. And then we're going to go over them in about 3 minutes. We're not going to go over each one individually, but we're just going to have some responses and then go over the answers. And then we're going to move on because of time. So we're going to set a timer for about 3 minutes, 2 minutes. for the sake of time for about 2 minutes, and then we're going to come back together. So if you can click the link, click it and get started. If you can't click the link, number of paper A through K, look at what's on your screen and use that to try to identify positive versus proactive, versus reactive. Timer has started.
And we're going down the whole list. Do as many as you can.
You have about a minute left. Again, you should have a link in the chat. If you can't access the link, label a page A through K, look on your screen and try to identify proactive versus reactive behaviors. You have about 30 seconds.
Time is up.
All right. We're going to look at, there's the timer. Okay. So anybody want to just call out one that you feel is proactive?
A is proactive.
A, proactive. Identify causes of misbehavior and develop routines and experience that reduce these occurrences. Anybody have anything other than A? What else would be proactive?
Model
Okay.
appropriate, model appropriate behaviors.
Okay, I heard model appropriate behaviors, which would be G. We said A. Give me another one.
E.
Communicate
Yes.
and reinforce class rules and procedures. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey,
C.
can I ask a question?
I, be prepared to test technology and materials prior to the lesson.
Yeah.
Correct. Justin, you have a question, Justin?
Yeah. So A, it says identify causes of misbehavior and develop routines and experience that reduce these occurrences. Wouldn't that be in a way reactive because you're seeing them misbehave? You know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying. You look at it as you have been reactive in that it may have been a response to a behavior, but you're being proactive in preventing it from further occurring.
Yeah, because it says identify.
Because you're looking at the causes and you're addressing the causes rather than simply reacting to the behavior.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna let me see. Did we get them all? D, utilize proximity to monitor student involvement. B or D? D.
Utilize proximity to monitor student involvement.
Absolutely. D, utilize proximity to monitor student involvement and behavior. Again, that could be a double. That D could be a double as well. You notice the behavior, and then your response to prevent it is to use proximity to monitor that student behavior. Absolutely.
And we acknowledge that with some of these, there's different ways to look at them based on your background and the way that you're coming at it. So did we have, Erica, do we have the ones that we labeled?
Yes, we labeled A, D, E, G, I, and K. Leverage relationships. I see a K in the chat, but leverage relationships to help the child navigate choices. You are, a lot of people have favorites, so the ones that you connect with, and you leverage those relationships to get the desired behavior or outcome from your students. All right, let's move on from proactive versus reactive. We're going to have a strategy attack. There's a link that is going to be dropped for a Padlet, and we're going to use that Padlet to add to it as we go through the class, through the slides. So we are going to look at several strategies that can be turnkeyed and used immediately in your classroom. You are going to be looking for strategies that work well for you and for the grade level you teach. Remember, they can be used across grade levels. So over the next few slides, you will see in the Padlet columns that match those slide topics, and you will jot down your thoughts and information as we go through the slides with the strategies that can be turnkey.
And to get us started, we're going to do a little entry ticket. So want you to grab one or two of those on that Padlet and put down what you use. If you have any suggestions, how are you going to attack those strategies? So I think what I have to do, okay, I got to exit.
Okay. How will you welcome your students to class?
Mm-hmm.
At the front door.
No, don't tell us. Write it on the Padlet. Write it on the Padlet. Let's get on the Padlet.
Type it into the Padlet.
Into that Padlet. I'm going to I can drop it so I can see what people are writing. Mm-hmm. Go over to our Padlet. And when you get there, you're going to pick just 2 columns. Mm-hmm. I see someone's already adding. Great. Thank you.
How do you add to the, okay.
You can click the plus button, the sign on the right-hand side, lower right-hand.
No, for this one, because we have different topics, you're going to click this.
Click in the top. That's right.
Everybody, you can pick any of these that work for you. So we have lots of people putting stuff down for how they get people in the classroom. Don't forget, how will you establish those positive? There, somebody just put it there. Okay. Thank you.
The code is in the chat. Sinitra, they're asking, can you go back to the screen with the QR code so they can scan it?
Let me click back. There we go.
So you can scan it. Dawn put the link in the chat box. And if you're unable to, if you can jot some ideas down, but you also will have access to the presentation afterwards.
Yes. We just wanted to get you, do a little pre to get you thinking. And then I'll click back on the Padlet, Erica, just so you can look at a few before we get these, before we start attacking these strategies.
Gotcha. How will you establish positive connections with your students? Morning share time. That may seem elementary, but there are ways that you can do it with high school if you change the topic and allow them things that they can share. Greeting everyone with a warm smile. I'm going to pull it up on my screen.
Okay, just make it easier.
Yeah,
watch exactly. Icebreakers at the end down here. And someone said, what's your favorite dessert and why? 2 truths and a lie is always a good one. Tell the class something new about yourself. We don't know, since many of the students are returning to school. So it's something that you feel comfortable sharing. Okay. Oh, I love the idea of Motivation Mondays. Starting off our week with encouragement for our classmates.
Small prizes. For how will you acknowledge the good? Small prizes, incentives, positive phone calls or messages home. How will you reward? Lunch bunch, seat choice, pick classroom jobs, bubbles and words of encouragement, verbal celebrations. There we go.
That's okay.
It won't pull up. What is your favorite dessert and why do you like it best? Icebreaker. Verbal, using sentences, rewarding students when they do well, because it's always great to know that you're doing well from the teacher.
And as we go into our strategy attack, you're going to see some of the things you have right here. See them as part of what we're going to share. So we're going to come back to this. And then after our presentation is over, you will still you will be able to access this document. You'll be able to look at it and get some ideas as the year goes on. Okay. I'm going to get us back into our presentation. Okay, so we're talking about being clear and consistent with classroom expectations. One of the best things that you're going to be able to do for yourself is start off on the foot that you want to lead with. You don't want to chase it all year. So we want to start off by establishing our expectations for the class. You want to be clear. First thing we did for this presentation, we shared with you the norms, the expectations for how this presentation was going to go. We're going to be respectful. We're going to be considerate. Okay. So you want to establish those clear codes of conduct and the way that you prefer to interact in your classroom. You want to encourage respectful talk and active listening. And no matter what grade you're teaching, like Erica said, if you've got the tiny ones, the subject may change, but the actions can be the exact same. So we want to encourage that active listening and being respectful. And we want to reinforce positive behavior. Does not always have to be something you purchase. It could be verbal praise. It could be small free incentives. And if you Google free classroom incentives, you'll find a list of 100 things you could do. Things from sitting in the teacher's chair to being able to sit by a friend, like stuff like that. High school students love to sit by who they want to sit by. So being able to sit by a friend, so positive rewards and establishing rewards and consequences. Be clear up front. So we don't want to wait until you have an incident to be reactive and try to come up with a plan up front. This is what we're going to do. These are some ways that you can choose to, a reward. And these are some consequences when these things don't happen. Now, here are a few things that you could do. Someone already said this one, Erica. Someone already said they're going to greet the students at the door with a positive tone. That's already been mentioned. That's a positive strategy. Standing at that door. Let me tell you why. You want to know who's coming at you. Sometimes you have kids that are upset when they come at their door. And if you're standing over there, you can see it and you can engage. So greeting students at the door, being positive, saying to a child who's not doing so well that they can have a quiet seat in the back for a few minutes to get themselves together, establishing that saves you those consequences of when things start spinning out of control. So think about that. You want to assess your students' mood. We're going to do that next. Acknowledge each student who enters your classroom. And it does not have to be, I see on TikTok, I'm old, y'all. I ain't got time to be doing this with everybody. I can't do this with everybody. I can't. So you got to think about acknowledgement is, good morning, Erica. Hey, Robin, how's it going? That's acknowledgement. So it does not have to be bump, hip, shake. It can just, good morning, how are you? Okay. All the students by their name. Now, this is a lesson because I didn't know this. This year, my class had a lot of students who were Hispanic, and I had 2 students that I would have pronounced Rosalind because they were spelled the exact same. But one student in her home, her parents called her Rosalind, and another student was Rosalind. So we want to ask students how to pronounce their name. And we want to pronounce it that way. And so that's a lesson for me that sometimes, the name could look the same, but how are the parents saying it? Because I'm Sinitria, so I understand the importance of getting a name right. Okay, so calling those students by their names, pronouncing those names correctly, and some kind of check-ins. You want to know what's coming your way. So let's talk about. Yeah, someone said in the chat, they said for high school, ask them would they like to be called. And as long as it's respectful and because that builds community. Absolutely. Establishing that builds community. Here's one of my favorite check-ins, and we're going to do it. Don't send yet. Don't hit send yet. You're going to put a number in the chat, but do not hit enter. So I want to know, how are you feeling today? How are you feeling this afternoon? Let me make sure I got the right. Okay, come on now. Okay, how are you feeling? You're going to rate yourselves pandally. So you're going to say a 1 means that you're ready.
Not yet.
Don't hit send yet.
Not yet.
You're going to say a 1 says that you're ready to go. A 2 says overall, I'm in a good mood and I'm ready to learn. Number 3, I'm hanging in there, but today is going to be really busy for me. Or in our case, today has been really busy for me, may be appropriate. Number 4, I'm a little nervous, but I think I can make things happen. Number 5, oh, I'm turned around, but I'm willing to try. And my favorite, number 6, I need help. I'm just here so I don't get fined. So I want you to put your number in the chat, but don't hit send. And then we're going to flood the chat. Everybody ready? Hit enter. Let's flood. Let me see what we're working with. What we working with, Erica?
We got a lot of 3s.
Got a lot of 3s.
Seeing some 3s and some 2s.
There some
Oh,
3s and 2s, a couple 5s.
Yeah, and 6.
I'm ready to go.
Go.
Some 4s.
There's some 4s coming in. Yep.
Thank you, Dawn. I forgot we got to introduce our colleague, Dawn. When you just popped up, I'm like, hey, Dawn.
No worries, no worries. I'm here.
Dawn is also a national, a open mentor. No, I was getting right. An open mentor, and she is here assisting 3s, 2s. Okay. I was looking up. Someone said sick. Somebody.
Oh, Stephanie.
Okay. Here's where we are. The reason that you want to do some kind of rating like this is it gives me an idea of who I'm working with.
Mm-hmm.
So if I get a lot of 6, if I get a lot of people saying 6, I know this may be, I may need to stop, have a conversation, and bring down the tone of the room.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of kids that tell me they're in a good mood or they're ready to go. I know that I can get started. I use this even with college students and my colleagues like yourselves, because sometimes after a long day of teaching, if you're taking a college course, you may be like, look, I'm sort of tired. So this gives me an idea of, am I working with a lot of people who are energetic and ready to go, or am I working with people that's like, look, Miss Blocker, Professor Blocker, I'm sort of tired. So then I can sort of pace my class accordingly. These are easy to make. And this is another thing that you'll be able to Google and just find a couple of suggestions for quick entry tickets that check how your students are feeling. Okay, I see a few more 2s and I saw a 6 added. Okay.
So one of the things that we're going to look at is establishing positive connections. So on that same Padlet, we're going to look at ways that you can build that relationship. We were saying leverage your relationship. We're going to look at ways that you can establish positive connections with your students. So we're going to trust generators. Trust can be built by being authentic. Be your authentic self. Students know when you're putting on a show. They know when you're putting on a show when someone walks into your room. So be authentically you. Selective vulnerability. Share a challenge. Let your students know that you've overcome some things in your life as well, especially if you're in a population that's challenging and you know they've gone through some things or they're in an environment that's not particularly the best. They may also be able to make that connection. Just let them know you've overcome the same way that they may, or maybe you've had an illness or something that you want to share. Familiarity, shared community. If you get them talking, you talk, and then you all realize that there are connections, experiences, places that you may have visited or come from. When they realize that there is shared community and there's something familiar with you, you're able to build that positive connection. Similar interest in the same way that you're building your community. What are some things that you like to do? Share about yourself. Don't build up a wall like it's you versus them. Share with them. What do you enjoy doing? How do you spend your time? Do you have children, and what are they involved in? Because your child's football team may have played one of their football teams, and then you have a connection with those students that you can build upon. Show concern. Show that you have an interest in the details of a student's life. So you want to make sure that you're listening while they're talking. And you may say, how did the game go last weekend? You said you were going out of town. How was your trip? What are some things that you can do to show your students that you're interested in their life? And then competence You want to be sure that the student trusts in your abilities. So you want to make sure that you're prepared. You want to make sure that you have taken time to have a conversation, that you got followed through on your word with things that you have mentioned in the classroom, and let them, and even if it's something that you don't know, that honesty and saying, hey, I'm not sure about that, but I can find out that answer, lets them know that they are free to make mistakes in your classroom as well. So you're building up that confidence with them. So what you're going to do on the Padlet is you're going to enter strategies that you can use to foster that positive environment. As they say, remember that you can't get back from a student until you've deposited into them. So make sure that you're giving something of yourself if you expect your students to give that back of you. So we're going to take just a few minutes, add on to the Padlet. What are some things that you can do to build those positive relationships with your students?
And some of the things I'm looking at, Erica, begin off the school year with getting to know you activities. Offer a moment for students to discuss their thoughts on a topic after a lesson. Positive connections. Use 3 fun facts or favorite cereal. It's always a lot of fun. Great icebreaker. Learn each student's name and cultural demographic. Yes, I'm just kicking a few. One-on-one interviews, one-on-one conferences, doing check-ins like we just did. Opportunities to think, pair, share. Come up with a song, then stop the song and let the children share their feelings. I like that. I've never done that one. Just basic human kindness, treating each other as humans, appropriate compliments, using their names when talking to them. I will establish positive connections with my students by making sure I know information about them and they are willing to share, that they're willing to share, and that I can communicate with them about. That's a 2x10 strategy. Rick Smith, you're going to get books. You'll get your books tomorrow, and those books have in them that 2x10. And one of our colleagues, that's exactly what it is. Taking 2 minutes, 10 days in a row to get to know someone. Did I go back?
Yes.
Go back. Boom. Okay, and I'll put us in share.
Next slide. So we also another strategy is to catch them being good. And this one is one of that the students appreciate, because they like to know that they're acknowledged for doing things other than when they've done something wrong, when they're being penalized for something. So if you can catch them when they're being good, acknowledge when students correctly follow instruction and display good behavior. Use tangible reinforcements, reinforce through the use of an electronic tool where they can see that they're being rewarded. If it's Class Dojo, where they're receiving points, if it's the positive PBIS, where they might give out school bucks where they can use things in the school store, let the students see that they are being rewarded and that they are being handed something, or that there's being tallied in a way that they can see it and others can see that they are in fact being caught being good and that they're making note of it. Provide verbal praise, nonverbal signals, auditory signals, and acknowledging the desired behavior. So instead of saying, I told you to sit down, you might say, thank you, Dawn, for sitting down like I asked you all to. Thank you, Erica, for putting away your books and cleaning up your area. Thank you, Sinitra, for watching the level of your voice and keeping your voice down like I asked you to. Instead of focusing on the undesired behavior, focus on the desired behavior. And while you're catching them being good, ensure that you're also letting their parents know that you've caught them being good, because the parents don't only want to hear negative things either. They also want to know that you have caught their students being good.
And Erica, I want to say, if you don't walk away with another thing from our presentation, please hear what Erica just said about catching them being good and pointing out the good. Because when you're in the middle of the storm and the storm comes, we're like, sit down, because you have said sit down 16,000 times. And you are tired, but the bang for your buck is not to keep saying, sit down, don't do that. But the bang for your buck is to say, thank you, Erica, for being in your chair, because somebody's hearing that and going, oh, I should be in my chair. When you say, sit down, sit down, sit down, somebody's hearing that and they're thinking, I'm about to get up. So you want to use that positive reinforcement, because when they hear it, they'll be able to go, oh, I should try that. So take that away. When in the middle of it, when you just want to say, if sit down, when you with the hand clench, when you want to say that, just take the time and look for somebody that's doing what you want them to do, and praise.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we're going to watch a short video on rewards, on ways that you can reward your students for demonstrating positive behaviors. At the end, you're going to go back to the Padlet and add in some ways that you would reward your students for demonstrating positive behaviors.
I'm going to try to play it here. I may have to play it through YouTube. And I'm just going to turn on closed caption in case anyone needs it.
Ticket system is a reward system that I use to recognize students' positive behavior in the classroom. They're being respectful to others, working really hard, showing great effort. I can give them a ticket and really honor that hard work for them. It doesn't interrupt the class time for me at all. It's just simple to just give someone a ticket. I can be talking while I'm doing it. I don't have to interrupt them if they're working. What I like about the tickets is I can use them to encourage ongoing behavior, but if there's a specific challenge that a student is having, I can really target that with the tickets. So if the student never raises his hand to ask a question and does, that's a perfect opportunity to give them a ticket. I just like how it's increased their positive behavior in my classroom and how excited the kids get to get a ticket, or when their friends get a ticket. It's just added some levity to the classroom, and students like it. Firstly, because they actually physically get to interact with it. It's something they can hold in their hands. They write their name on, they get up, put it in the box. So I think they like that it's interactive. And it's just fun to see who's going to get the ticket, who's going to get it at the end of the week, how many can I get. Do I have everybody's tickets for today?
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Thanks. Yeah.
Close this one out. Come on. Did we want them to go back to the
Yes, they're going to the Padlet now, and you're adding in the ways that you would reward your students in that column. Any new ideas or additional ideas that you want to add to how you will reward your students in your class, you can add them there. I can't see them, Sinitria.
No problem. I got you. Okay. So the things that we have on here so far is that we can have a lunch bunch or seat choice. I love seat choice. Pick classroom jobs. And the first pick, if you have those little kids like I had last year, that line leader spot is king. So having a chance to pick those jobs, bubbles and words of encouragement. If you wrote bubbles, what are bubbles? Can you tell us in the chat? Or
yeah, it was me. I said bubbles. Just like regular bubbles that you blow.
Ooh.
Like, so the little kids in my pre-K 3 class are in love with bubbles and would do anything for bubbles.
And there are some middle and high school kids who would do the same for bubbles.
Okay, so I thought the bubbles were going to be like a technology, you know what I mean? No, you mean actual bubbles. Gotcha. Okay, so we have bubbles, encouraging words, verbal celebrations. My office does a huge, once a month, we do a huge verbal celebration. Everyone loves it. You can submit anything you want to celebrate. I like leader of the day, giving those special treats, cheers and applause. We have our prize box, stickers, one-to-one time with the teacher, extra free choice time, words of encouragement. Oh, a goodie jar. Who doesn't love a goodie jar? We got a goodie jar, snacks, I spent money on snacks. It was worth it for me.
Mhm.
Rewards, yes. Tickets with the prize box, sitting with a friend, verbal praise. Those are all things that we have on here. Yes, I'm going to go back. Oh, someone said, okay, is it pronounced Takis?
Mhm. Yeah.
Because they were trying to eat those for breakfast. Are they like chips? I was
No.
like, oh, Takis.
Not healthy.
They're like hot Cheetos. They are disgusting. They're like hot Cheetos.
They would have my first graders last year would have a ton of conversations, and I was like, no Takis, but I wasn't really sure what they were. Okay. So now we're moving into some other strategies you can try for our strategy attack. We want to use timers. Erica and I have used timers throughout the presentation, 2 minutes for this, 3 minutes for that. You really want your students to be aware of how much time, when you say 5 minutes, for someone who has no concept of time, that can mean anything.
Mhm.
Use your timer to get your students used to the idea of how much time they have. Focus students' attention for a period of time. That means you are not talking and they are not talking. And that's hard. So if you're saying, I want you all to work on something, you've got to give up the conversation to let them do it. Define segments of time. So that's the same thing. That we're going to do this for 10 minutes, then we'll do that. Independent practice. When I say the timer's on first grade, 7 minutes. You have 7 minutes that you are going to try your best and do the best you can. 12th graders, you have 30 minutes. You're going to try and do the best you can. We are not talking with the people beside us. In order to make that work, because if you haven't had a chance to do this, if you say this and you walk away, they won't do it. So you have to monitor. You have to spend some time to say, no, Erica, I need you to focus. No, I need you to focus. You want to bring them back in quickly, stick and move. I need you to focus. I need you to pay attention. Thank you. Okay, I need you to focus. You're doing that to bring their attention back to what you want. So a first grader can sit for 7 minutes. They can, but you have to encourage them and you have to support them doing it. The final one is a brain break, and a brain break is actually taking the time to do something that gives your brain a break. So it could be stretching. My students loved chair yoga. We did chair. If you Google chair yoga, they have 5 minutes, 7 minutes, short breaks, and you could do just 1 minute brain breaks. Everybody's quiet for 1 minute. We're closing our eyes for 1 minute. If you feel comfortable based on your room, if we're all going to stand behind our chair and we're going to roll our shoulders to the back. We're going to roll our shoulders to the front. Okay. So those are ways that we can get our students used to using a timer and also give their brains a break. If you have anything that you have not added to the Padlet, if you want to drop it in, I see some things in here. Some songs, no lyrics, relaxing songs can be just as good as a timer. I agree. Playing the song and saying as soon as the song is over, pencils are down. But that's still marking time. You're still marking that time with that. So absolutely. Transitioning from one task to another and having them to know up front, we have 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, I want your desk clear, your pencils down, and everyone standing behind the chair. Wherever it is, those transition moments. Love a good meditation session. Clean up, and we can clean up by the time the song goes off. Room needs to be clean. I have a timer on my desk. I have a timer on my computer. I got this timer on my phone. So having those timers in multiple places. Oh, a classroom doorbell. When people come, I've never thought of that one. So y'all need to keep this chat. We have some good stuff in here. Lots of great ideas. Okay. I'm going to go on. How much time? I'm sorry. I saw my colleague dropped me a message. I think I missed it.
Dawn, where are we time wise?
Well, it is time now.
Okay. So I'm going to take just 2 minutes and I'm going to wrap you up, and I do mean to. Teaching procedures. It is just important that you teach your students. You're going to get a copy of the presentation, that you model and you reinforce what you want your students to do. You're going to get a slide that tells you the difference between rules and procedures. It's just important that they know what a rule is and what a procedure is. We're not going to watch the video because we just don't have the time. But the last link that we're going to drop for you, this is the last link we have to share. This is so important. This link has 8 strategies and it explains the 8 strategies. So this is our 8 strategies that you can add to your toolbox. Music breaks, taking a quick break with a little music. Someone already used that one. Slant should be capitalized, SLANT. If you Google it, it tells you like 1 letters for stand, that kind of thing. Class meetings, pepper, talking chips, everyone writes. Picture this is one of my absolute favorites, using a picture of something that you want. Instead of me saying, Robin, get that off the floor, I can say, look at my picture. How should your desk look, to show them what it looks like? And 2x10 is in the book that you will receive tomorrow. For any session, you are good to go. We do thank you so much for participating. You have been fantastic.
To signify completion of this asynchronous conscious classroom management training, please grab your electronic device and use it to scan the QR code below. The QR code is going to take you to a session assessment. Complete the session assessment to show evidence of you completing this training. Pause the video now to do this. Thank you.